Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into this video. So, guys, here are my number 13 college football recaps. We're recapping all the week 13 games that happened today. We'll start. This is not the best, honestly, guys. Before we get into it, this was like one of the worst weeks of college football. To be really honest, this is like one of the worst weeks. But it's still college football and still lots to talk about. So let's get into it. So, guys, we'll start with 24-ranked Tulane going on the road and beating Temple 37-13. Temple's actually been a little better. Usually, Temple's like one of the worst teams in the American. This year, Temple's been a pretty average team, which is better. So it's been a good year for Temple, but Tulane gets the business. They take care of business on the road. I expect Tulane to win the American Championship game, or at least get to the American Conference Championship game. They'll probably either play like Navy or North Texas. We'll see. But Tulane wins 37-13 in that one. Anyway, then we go on to our next game. TCU goes on the road, takes down 23rd ranked Houston, 17-14. Houston was down 14-0 early in this one. Houston comes back a little bit, but then TCU gets a game-winning field goal to win 17-14 in a very low-scoring game. So good win for TCU on the road against, I think, a good Houston team. Houston's been a little rocky, though. Houston has a lot of bad losses. They had a bad loss to West Virginia at home. So Houston, they have a lot of bad losses. I mean, I know TCU's not that bad. They're decent, but not a good performance at home against TCU. Anyway, moving on to our next game. 21-ranked Illinois loses to 3-7 Wisconsin. 27-10. Wisconsin wins this game 27-10. Illinois goes on the road, gets destroyed by a very bad Wisconsin team. And give credit to Wisconsin. They've been way more competitive, especially towards the end of the season. Wisconsin was awful in the beginning of the season, but they played a little better. They got that big upset win against Washington. They hold Oregon to 21 points. Their offense is still not that good, but they get a nice win against Illinois. Wisconsin dominated Illinois in this game. Dominated. They manhandled them. They completely destroy Illinois. Absolutely destroy Illinois. So good win for Wisconsin. Gotta give credit where credit's due there. Anyway, moving on. At 7:30 on ABC. Don't know why the hell was this game at 7:30 on ABC. One of the worst ABC primetime games ever. 20-ranked Tennessee destroys Florida 31-11. Tennessee didn't even score a point in the second half, but they didn't really need to. This game was over like in the first quarter. Tennessee, I think Tennessee was at like 14-0. Like, this game was over in the first quarter. They destroyed, I think, a very bad Florida team. And give credit to Florida. They put up a fight against Ole Miss, but really, Florida's not a very good team. Good win for Tennessee. This game doesn't even matter. I don't think Tennessee's making the playoffs. But a good win at Florida. Actually, this is like their first win at Florida in like 20 years. It's been a while since they went at Florida. So good win for Tennessee on the road. Moving on to our next game. 18-ranked Michigan goes on the road and defeats a struggling Maryland team. 45-20. Good win for Michigan. They control most of the game. They blow them out. Good win for Michigan on the road. Give credit where credit's due there. At 3:30 on ABC, Arkansas loses 37-52 against Texas. Arch Manning, 4 touchdowns to Arch Manning. He had a touchdown pass tossed to him. He threw a long deep ball. So the deep ball he threw. Texas, great win against Arkansas. I'm still not that high on Texas, but a good win against a very competitive Arkansas team. Arkansas, I know they said they're 2-8. Guys, Arkansas's really not that bad of a team. Arkansas's a very competitive team. They just had lost a lot of heartbreakers. They literally, I think all their losses are one score. A couple of things go there. Arkansas can be a little better. They're a very competitive football team, and Texas scores a 50-burger on them at home. So good win for Texas. You're not making the playoffs, though. Big game, though, against Texas A&M on Black Friday. We'll get to that later in the week, though. So, anyway, moving on. This game, big game. This is a big game for the ACC. It was a big game for the ACC and big college football playoff implications on it. Pitt goes on the road, takes down 16th-ranked Georgia Tech, 42-28. At the beginning of the season, guys, I was very high on Georgia Tech. As the season's continued, I'm starting to get very less excited about Georgia Tech. They just don't excite me. They really don't. Pitt comes in here and wins 42-28. Pitt, this game, Georgia Tech did try to make a comeback. It was like 28-0 in the first quarter. And then Georgia Tech, they score a couple touchdowns to make it 28-14 heading in the half. I think Pitt missed a field goal. Their kicker got injured. And then Georgia Tech did they tie it up? I forgot they tied it up or not, or was it like a one-score game? But then Pitt, they get a pick six in the second half, which is very interesting. And Pitt, man, they just didn't give up. They come in here, they get a nice win against a very fraudulent Georgia Tech team. Georgia Tech, Georgia Tech could be like 7-5 right now. Georgia Tech's like one of the worst 9-2 teams ever. They are very fraudulent. To be completely honest with you, Georgia Tech's a very fraudulent team. Anyway, guys, let's move on to our next game. Also, guys, Georgia Tech, they're probably not going to make the playoffs now. I mean, I think Georgia can honestly destroy Georgia Tech on Black Friday. Georgia honestly will probably be like 15-point favorites in that game. And Pitt, they have to beat Miami next week. They got to beat Miami next week. That's a big game for the ACC championship game. Big playoff implications in that Miami Pitt game. We'll see what goes on there. Anyway, move on to our next game. 14th-ranked Vanderbilt destroys Kentucky. 45-17. Vanderbilt destroys the Wildcats. D. Pave, Vanderbilt's starting quarterback. 5 touchdowns for him. Great game for Vanderbilt. They destroy, I think, a very motivated Kentucky team. Kentucky was on a 3-game winning streak in this game at Auburn, Florida, home win against Florida, and coming off a home win against Eastern Tennessee. Tennessee Tech? But Kentucky, they get absolutely destroyed on the road at Vandy. For Kentucky to make a bowl game, they got to go on the road and beat Louisville next week. That's a big game for Kentucky. They get destroyed on the road at Vanderbilt to close that conference play. Anyway, Miami, they take care of it. Sorry about my nose. It's a little runny. Anyway, Miami goes on the road and I'd say destroy, but they beat a pretty bad Virginia Tech team, 34-17. A good win for Miami. Miami gets the win on the road against Virginia Tech. Miami wins 34-17 that one. Not much to talk about there. Carson Beck played good. Miami gets the win. This Kansas State-Utah game, I thought Utah was going to lose because I feel like Kansas State, they were up by like 10 points in the third quarter. But then Utah rolls back. They beat Kansas State 51-47 in a great shootout game. Utah never gave up. Good win for Utah. Game-winning touchdown late. Defense got to stop when they needed to. There was no defense played in this game. Great win for Utah against a very Kansas State team who started out terrible, but they played a lot better in recent football. They played a lot better, if you ask me. And then this game at 2 p.m. on ESPN+, Alabama leads 56-0. They shut out Eastern Illinois 56-0. Not much to talk about in this game. Alabama, if they lose to Auburn next week, they could be out of the playoffs. So that Auburn game is very big. If they lose to Auburn, they're probably out of the playoffs. Bama might not make it. They lose to Auburn next week. That Auburn game is very big. I know Auburn's not that great of a team, but Auburn not at home. Auburn, that game is on the road at night. That is a big game in the Iron Bowl at 7:30 on ABC. Anyway, guys, this game, Syracuse at Notre Dame. Notre Dame wins 70-7. 70-7 was your final score in this game. Notre Dame won this game 70-7. Great win for Notre Dame. They scored 70 points. Notre Dame is a very good football team. Notre Dame. This game was actually really something. I think Syracuse got like a touchdown, like 2 seconds left in the game. Great performance by Notre Dame. I know Syracuse is not very good. Syracuse literally has no offense. But you're not going to lie to me. Notre Dame scored 70 points against an ACC school. That is very impressive. I'm not going to lie. I know Syracuse is not good. Very great performance by Notre Dame. And Oklahoma beats Missouri 17-6. This game, the problem is Missouri can't score any points. They're playing against a good Oklahoma defense. Oklahoma's a very physical team on defense. They have a very good defense. They get the win. Not much to talk about in this game. They controlled most of the game. Very low scoring. Oklahoma does get the win against, I think an okay Missouri team. They get the win. They win 17-6. Good win for Oklahoma at home. But anyway, guys, college game day game of the week. USC loses to Oregon 42-27. Ducks controlled most of this game. USC, I thought USC didn't play bad, but Oregon just played better. Oregon's offense was very good. Oregon's defense also played, I think, good. They did good when they needed to. USC did get some explosive plays, but I thought Oregon's offense played very good against USC. So good win for the Ducks. They get the win 42-27. I think against a good USC team. Oregon, their playoffs definitely still alive. They're probably going to go up in the rankings. Anyway, moving on. Georgia only scores 35 points against Charlotte. They win 35-3. You shouldn't panic. It's against Charlotte. Charlotte's one of the worst teams in the American. Georgia only wins by like 32 points. They get the win, though. They win 35-3 against Charlotte. There's not much to talk about in that game. Texas A&M shuts down one of the worst FCS schools ever, Stanford, 48-0. Yeah, SEC Cupcake Week, guys. This is like one of the reasons why this is actually one of the reasons why this week sucks, because all the SEC teams play cupcakes, and that will not be a thing next year. Because next year the SEC is moving to a 9-team conference schedule, I believe. Yeah, next year. They went 48-0 against Stanford. 42, not much to talk about. A&M dominated. Anyway, moving on to our next game. Ohio State destroys Rutgers 42-9. Great win for Ohio State. Good win for Ohio State. They have Michigan next week. That Michigan game, though, is very, very crucial. They got to beat Michigan. Ryan Day has been struggling against Michigan. Does Ryan Day even have a win against Michigan? The last time Ohio State beat Michigan, was it 2020 last time they beat Michigan? Or was it 2019? It's been a while since they beat Michigan. They're looking for their first win against Michigan in like 4 years. Can Ohio State do it? Can they do it against Michigan? They get a win against Rutgers. A little close early, but Ohio State took over late. They get a dominant win, 42-9. They get the win there. And then BYU gets a win at Cincinnati, 26-14. BYU, I'm very high on BYU. I think it's likely going to be a Texas Tech BYU Big 12 championship game. BYU needs to beat UCF, which, so assuming BYU beats UCF, I expect them to make the Big 12 championship game. UCF's not that very good. They should get the win there. And then Texas Tech, all they have to do, they have to go on the road against West Virginia this week. I expect Texas Tech to win that game easily. Texas Tech is a bye this week. That's why they're not playing. But I expect that to be a rematch of the Big 12 championship game. And I think the game should be more competitive than we saw back in like 2 weeks ago in Lubbock. I think the game is going to be a lot better. BYU, I'm very impressed by them. I'm very high on this BYU team. And they come into Cincinnati. I know Cincinnati, they have like 3 straight losses now. They win 26-14. It's a hungry Cincinnati team on the road. Good win for BYU at 9 on the road. They win 26-14. They improved to 10-1. And our last game we will talk about, it'll be this Arizona State-Colorado game. Arizona State, they win 42-17. This game was a lot closer. I know the score says 42-17. But guys, this game was a lot closer than the score says. ASU gets a win on the road against, I say, kind of a bad, I don't know, Colorado's just been kind of iffy this year. ASU gets the win 42-17. This game was closer majority of it until like the fourth quarter. Then ASU scored a bunch of points to make this game 20 points. Good win for Arizona State. Making the playoffs. Arizona State, further they can play, they need a lot to go their way. First of all, Arizona State needs they need who else? They need Utah. They need Utah to lose. They need Texas Tech to lose. They need BYU to lose. They need a lot to go their way. I just don't see it for ASU. I really don't see. Houston losing is definitely a positive. Houston losing to Houston. I forgot Houston lost for a minute. Houston losing to TCU definitely helped Arizona State. But honestly, I don't see them making the playoffs or even the Big 12 championship game. They need a lot to go there for ASU to make it. It's not out of the picture, but it's just unlikely. But again, a nice win at Colorado, so give them credit where it's due. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for the Week 13 college football recap. Thanks for watching. Have a good night. Have a good Saturday night. Peace out.